I mean, I think the immediate winner could be Germany in terms of safe haven investment. There could be more money going into that market. I think that's fairly obvious. I think what's also interesting is in the last post-GFC is how investment by sector has really changed in Europe. So we're moving away from the traditional sectors, and there's been a lot more investment going into resi, into hotels, and into alternatives. So I think it's up to about 35% in the UK, about 22% in Europe. So it's not just, that's been a real shift from the last crisis. And the fundamentals for that are still there. So I don't really see any immediate change or impact on that shift towards those alternatives. You know, it's your e-commerce driven logistics, all these things are still going to continue. I don't think this is going to put a break on that. I just think initially, probably a pause, the safe haven markets will probably take more money, like Germany, and then we'll see how we kick on in the following year. But I don't think it will correct these longer term trends that we're seeing.
Well, I think it's uncharted territory, that is very important. It also a huge amount of complexity. I don't know how many thousand sub-agreements would have to be struck, so law firms are certainly good occupiers in the City of London for a long, long time. But serious, a joke aside, it's a 2-year target deadline that both is part of paragraph 50 of the Lisbon Treaty, which both sides can mutually agree to extend. Now, given that the interdependence is so large, I don't think any party will pull the plug in the middle of negotiations, and knowing human nature and the complexity of it, I think we'll be in it for a little bit longer than 2 years, which much excitement in the middle, newspaper writing this, newspaper writing that, and emotions on up and down. But somewhere between 2.5 years to 3, and things will have to be concluded. And that is a period of uncertainty that is simply a result of the enormous volume of legislation that the bureaucrats in the European Union have created in the 40 years that Britain was a member of it.
I think if investors think that things are going to get more certain and we're going to enter a period of stability in the next 2 to 3 years, and they're waiting for that moment, they'll be waiting for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. There will definitely be some immediate impacts. Like one example is probably the coast of Spain is going to suffer. It had been basically the Florida, the retirement community for Brits, and now that's a big question mark. Certainly, what happens with all of them that are already there? Do they have to return back to the cold winters? But it's highly unlikely that you would let your parents buy a house and retire in the Spanish coast right now, given what could be faced. So that could have probably some immediate impacts right now. So short the Spanish home builders.
Yeah, I sorry to disagree, Robert. I don't see that.
We like disagreement. It's
yeah, I'm always good for that. But the Spanish government, Spain has 20% youth, 25% youth unemployment, is just about edging out of it. Will do the very last thing to send out a large number of Brits who spend their retirement money there, some of them very wealthy, and then knock its coastal economy into the grass. That's just not going to happen. And the other way around, I can very well imagine that if there is a drop in transactional pricing on the South Coast, because, as you said, somebody says to his parents, do you really want to go there? We don't know what's going to happen. The Brits have a large affinity to property. I think they'll go and buy it at a cheaper price.
Yeah, by the way, though, their pounds buy a lot less right now, too. So I think over the near term, it's we'll see.
For a measly $500,000, you can buy your EU visa as a Brit in Spain. So
as a Chinese also, by the way.
Yeah, not Chinese. So similarly, Portugal and Greece, it's half the price.
I think less will change than we believe, because the people under all the European citizens are much more sensible than their governments, than the European Commission, that's for sure.